Person shot and killed during a traffic stop by ICE agents in Franklin Park. That is our big breaking news of the afternoon. This happened near 25th and Grand Avenue.
Okay, here's my quick disclaimer. I am making this video just a few minutes after I am hearing this news. So if I don't have all of the details, I apologize. Yet we have enough details to look into this, and it's quite shocking. So we have a lot to dig into with this video because, again, this is actually extremely rare. ICE agents face a ton of violence, but to go so far to have to end somebody's life, that almost never happens. So of course we're gonna dig into it. Now before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And I think people are going to be very interested in this story.
Person shot and killed during a traffic stop by ICE agents in Franklin Park. That is our big breaking news of the afternoon. This happened near 25th and Grand Avenue, and we're getting a live look to the scene now. Very active still in this area. A spokesperson with ICE says an agent was hit by a car and dragged here before.
And by the way, we do have the official statement from Homeland Security. We'll get to that in a second.
Or fatally shooting the driver of that car. Our cameras at the scene showing us a silver sedan that crashed into a parked semi there. The officer is stable at an area hospital. We're hearing that ATF, DEA, and also FBI agents are all there on the scene. So as we get more information, we're going to be following this and passing those along to you, both here on the air and online.
And we do have the video from the person who was in the truck, by the way. Again, we'll get to that in a second. But I really want to point out, this is a scary scenario, especially talking about today's context. Chicago, it is the next target for Homeland Security to start going after targeted operations or just general sweeps looking for illegal immigrants. And if this is already happening on the opening days, this is a little scary considering Homeland Security agents, historically speaking, they do deal with violence, but as far as actually having to use lethal force, you virtually almost never see it. That is why I wanted to make this video before you start to see this narrative of like, wow, look at this clashing, look at this violence. That does happen a lot, but pushing it to lethal force, you almost never see it. You have to have a scenario like this to really employ lethal force. And just to show you guys, the video we just reacted to was from the perspective over here. Now we are on this side of the camera, the perspective from the truck driver. He's just filming the scenario, and you'll actually hear in the background, he's on the phone with somebody.
Hi, yes, I'm a CDL truck driver, and a car hit my trailer because I think ICE tried to pull him over, and he crashed into my trailer.
Now, obviously, I cannot show you guys what's on the screen, but I hope you trust basically what's going on. They're conducting the arrest. In the background, you can actually hear the agent say, somebody call 911, which is a good thing that they're trying to at least save the body of this man. Again, if you start to see these narratives of like, you know, they just took him out just cause, we have the raw footage. You can hear the protocols in the background. And I have no problem in calling out Homeland Security if they're doing things to be devious. But in this scenario, Homeland Security, you can see how far they had to go in order for this engagement. An ICE officer was dragged across the street. They had to employ lethal force that is protected under the standards and protocols of self-defense. You can even hear in the background, hey, somebody call an ambulance. So it looks like in this scenario, every single protocol was trying to be followed in order to help and protect an illegal immigrant, even though he had a known criminal background. And I also want to point out, these agents are not wearing masks either. Right now, if you're unaware, in the Chicago area, there is a county or neighborhood that's trying to push a mask or face ban on federal agents. So just pointing out right now, just to bring everything together with political context, these officers are not wearing masks. Now, it's very important not to speculate. On my channel, I always go straight to the source. I try to be as fair as possible. This is straight from DHS. This morning, while carrying out an enforcement operation targeting a criminal illegal alien, the alien resisted arrest, attempted to flee the scene, and dragged a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer a significant distance with his car. The amount of times I have covered on my channel where somebody tries to flee or try to shove and push ICE officers, it almost never ever have I ever covered it gets this far where you have to use lethal force. The officer sustained multiple injuries and is in stable condition. The illegal alien was pronounced deceased. We are praying for the speedy recovery of our law enforcement officer. He followed his training, used appropriate force, and properly enforced the law to protect the public and law enforcement. This is from Trisha McLaughlin. She is the Assistant Secretary to Homeland Security. Viral social media videos and activists encourage illegal aliens to resist the law enforcement, not only spread misinformation, but also undermine public safety as well as the safety of our officers and those being apprehended. That is the statement from Homeland Security. You guys can leave your comments down below how you feel about this. Real quick, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys up to date with stories just like this. Let's continue.
Not paying black people intentionally in their own facility at Chicago. Look it up. You know what happened? Those supervisors are still working there, aren't they? They got a cat on the back. Good job, boys. We only had to pay them out if they stayed. And they suffered through the oppression and abuse.
Okay, let me give you guys some context. So my original video was going to be about this situation. I have talked about it before, but there is now a small detention facility where protesters are showing up almost every single day, and a lot of them are blocking the driveway, obstructing, and trying to block this operation. But the reason why this is relevant is because what if that man, his life was not taken? What if he was detained and he was going to be brought to this facility after he just dragged that officer? Are these protesters still going to try and block the operation? I'm just trying to give you guys the perspective of the Homeland Security officers. They don't care about the protesting, but the blanket protesting and getting in the way of the operation when there is a known criminal who might get sent to this facility. When you have protesters who are blocking the agents, it's creating a very dangerous environment. And again, we are only in the beginning stages of this operation occurring in Chicago. And just so you know, this is all going on when that officer also lost his life, who are trying to help out these American citizens, just to give you guys some more context. Again, I'm trying to give the entirety of the context from both perspectives. Here is the perspective of the protesters. This is what it looks like right now. This was only 4 hours ago. One thing I find interesting is that all of these protesters are like, why are there agents right here on the roof? When it comes to operational security, these agents and the people who create the plans to protect these buildings, they're looking at the deficiencies of the other buildings that have been protested. And protesting a building is okay, but going beyond that and like sieging it, attacking it, these federal agents have to assume that could happen in the future, because we've already seen some small clashes where people are getting in front of the vehicles. The point I'm trying to make is we are seeing, again, the beginning stages of these federal agents getting on top of the building and making sure they have a vantage point to make sure everyone is safe. And these protesters are acting confused, like, why would you get up there? If you go and look at my Portland stories or other stories we cover, federal agents realize maybe it's a good idea to get on the roof and not get face to face. And by the way, just to show you guys how we can tell these officers anticipate something could happen as far as going beyond your First Amendment right, like actually trying to possibly siege this building, This building is not set up for a mass protest where people could do damage to this building. I mean, these windows, they're not covered in the Google Pics picture, but when I go back to the TikTok, you can see that they're all boarded up. So again, these are indicators that there is an anticipation where rogue protesters could go beyond just being loud and yelling. That is fine. We are allowed to do that as Americans. I'm just trying to show you guys a pattern here. Again, subscribe to my channel so I can show you what happens in Portland. It looks like a castle at this point. The federal agents had to board up the entire building because they were being attacked, and they still are being attacked as I make this video.
Officer seriously injured in the Chicago suburbs. This was the scene just moments ago, Franklin Park, Illinois. An incident ICE sources tell Fox is being dealt with like an attempted murder of an ICE officer.
Which again, that's a pretty big deal. And this is another statistic I'm sure we're going to hear about from Tom Homan, from Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, the security advisors of the country. So when you elevate it to that, very big deal for Homeland Security and ICE agents. Again, a big part of this story is the narrative around this story. If you are in support of these operations, you're going to not like what you're about to hear, that an ICE officer, he was almost taken out. On the flip side, for people who dislike ICE agents, you might see this and you're questioning, why did things go so far? This never happens. Again, we got to talk about things contextually here, and then it's up to you to make your opinion or give your opinion how you feel about it.
It happened, as I mentioned, in Franklin Park, that is near O'Hare Airport, during an enforcement operation against a criminal illegal alien. We're told the bus turned violent when the suspect hit an officer, dragging him under the front bumper of his car as he tried to escape. The officer fired shots and killed the suspect. That officer suffered severe injuries, but the latest that we are told is in stable condition.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate situation in Chicago. And again, as I make this video, we know that operations are going to ramp up in Chicago. I'm seeing some news sources say that the National Guard will not get involved, but that doesn't diminish what is probably going to happen in Chicago as far as sending in more federal agents to do more raids like this, or more targeted operations like this.
A very active police scene right now. So here is what an ICE spokesperson told us moments ago. This morning in Chicago, ICE officers were conducting targeted law enforcement activity.
Again, this all just happened, so if this looks repetitive, I'm just trying to show you guys all of the different reports, all of the different angles.
During a vehicle stop, the suspect resisted and attempted to drive his vehicle into the arrest team, striking an officer, subsequently dragging him as he fled the scene. Fearing for his life, the officer discharged his firearm and struck the subject. Both the officer and subject immediately received medical treatment and were transported to a local hospital.
Interesting enough, when you go on TikTok and I see comments like, is ICE even allowed to do traffic stops? Yes, they are. Again, I really do think a ton of people have a misconception on what Homeland Security can do and not do, especially with these deportations. It's a lot broader than people know or expect.
The suspect pronounced dead at the hospital. The officer sustained severe injuries and is in stable condition. So right here at the scene, also the suspect's car at some point slammed into a truck. And so both vehicles remain here on the scene, and we're told the driver of the truck also still at the scene, but he was not injured. At this point, authorities are going door to door, talking to neighbors, possibly looking for any video of this incident. This is still...
I'm surprised. A lot of people are saying, where's the body cam? We might get it, we might not. Again, this is an ongoing investigation, but you can see it affects everybody. The truck driver, he's going to be out of work here for a second. He's got to deal with this and figure out what's going on. You have a loss of life. It's a very scary situation, and I make these videos to show you guys this is not a game. This is why we want peace in the country. We want people to come together, and we want to make sure we know what's actually going on before we make these opinions and try to demonize one side or the other. It's very crucial, but as you can see here, from all of the indicators I'm getting, it looks like Homeland really went through all of the proper procedures and protocols and even waited for an officer to get dragged before having to use lethal force. We've seen it time and time again in other videos where other agencies do not even wait that long, but I really do think for Homeland Security, they are under so much pressure, so much scrutiny, it has to go that far in order for them to actually employ lethal tactics. I cannot stress this enough. We virtually never see this. This was posted only 50 minutes ago.
We'll all back your decision.
And again, I just want to be clear, and even Homeland Security would hold this position. This is all allowed. This is all valid, free protesting. The problem that happens is generally things will be as peaceful as they can be. You can be loud, you can be proud, that's fine. But then when you don't move and you don't get out of the front of the driveway, Homeland Security gets put in a position of what are we going to do? Are we going to move them out of the way? Are we going to get into an engagement of clashing? I cover this every single day. It is a very common theme, and it's either going to be up to the protesters or for Homeland what's going to happen. Do you move? Do you not move? And again, I do want to reiterate, completely peaceful. You are allowed to do this. The question is, are these people going to move out of the driveway when Homeland Security needs to do an operation? Over in Portland, we see this every single night with these engagements.
We'll build our coalition. We'll build our coalition. To stop this imposition. To stop this imposition. And fight for abolition. And fight for abolition.
What also ends up happening is that you have a group of people who will either try to embed with these protesters and use it as an opportunity to mask themselves to create chaos, which I really hope does not happen here. But I'm just trying to show you guys we have an overlap of protesters who are protesting a facility where the man who lost his life, if he didn't, maybe he could have been sent here. Would they have gotten in front of that vehicle even though that was a legal targeted raid? You see what I'm saying? Chicago right now is in the beginning stages of what potentially could either be a bad situation or a not so bad situation. And I do pray for peace for that city, for our country. And I hope it doesn't get to what's happening in Portland right now or even in Los Angeles. So thank you guys so much for being here. This is all the information we have. And to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to get that much more information. I mean, to Homeland Security, it was very black and white. We went to go do our job. The man, we knew that he had a criminal record. He tried to hit the officer, and that in the court of law is typically enough to employ lethal force, and unfortunately, that's what it got to. So that's what's going on in Chicago right now. Hope you guys enjoy this video. God bless, and we'll see you all later.